Hello, dear friends. Here we are. This is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. and we are here with you to talk about The Harvest of Light, the book that is also in English. It was originally written by Chico Xavier, Emmanuel through Chico Xavier in 1972. And now it's available to all of us in English as we speak. We're studying chapter 42 today, which is about the common interaction. As you are coming in, let me share with you that we are, whoops, sorry, that we are here sharing with you the teachings of Emmanuel in this book, Ceifa de Luz, a book that is yet to be published in English. But at the very beginning, Emmanuel gave us the prayer of enlightenment or prayer for light. We can see that Virginia is here with us. We just left the Spirit Center. And Virginia, you want to say hi? You can say hi. Hi. Yeah. All right, Virginia, thank you for joining us today. Thank you. Okay, you want to be here with mommy? Yeah? Go around so you can come here. Yeah, we just came from the Spirit Center and we are going to sleep as soon as we end the program. Virginia is joining us today. Okay, welcome, Virginia, to be with us as we are here at Kardec Radio. So today we're going to be studying chapter 42. See, Virginia, you're saying hi to you. You can say hi if you want. Okay. So here we have it, the opportunity of studying this phenomenal book that is bringing to us new life. And today, as we're going to begin chapter 42, in the common interaction. Thank you, friends, for welcoming Virginia too. It's a different day. So let us read the manual and go through the explanation, okay? Emmanuel begins. In the common interaction, see to it that no one falls to the grace of God, that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. This is Paul in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. He says, "It is reasonable that we always be careful not to extend evil to the path of others. The others reap the fruits of our actions and offer us back the consequent reactions. Hence, the instinctive care not to injure our own conscience, whether by policing attitudes or selecting words, so that we may live in peace before our fellow beings, assuring tranquility to ourselves. In many circumstances, however, we do not immunize ourselves against the toxic agents of complaint. We overestimate our problems. We suppose our pain greater and more complex than those of our neighbors. And nourishing our own selfishness, we cultivate an undesirable root of bitterness in the soil of the heart. From it grows mind thorns, susceptible of striking those who share with us the daily activity, poisoning their lives. How many unfortunate suggestions will we have clotted in the brains of loved ones? predisposing them to infirmity. It's hard to concentrate, right? It's just to bring a little joy to everybody here, right, Virginia? Yes. Okay. I will let you work on this, helping mommy as you sit on their chair. Is that okay? You want to sit there?
I want to sit here.
Okay. Okay, so you help hold the paper for mommy. Thank you. So let us keep reading the message. From our bitterness grows mind thorns susceptible of striking those who share with us the daily activity, poisoning their lives. How many unfortunate suggestions will we have clotted in the brains of loved ones, predisposing them to infirmity or delinquency with our thoughtless phrases? How many regrettable gestures have come to light, torn from the shadows by our sour remarks? Let us be aware of such calamities that are set in our day-to-day tasks, almost always without us noticing. Forget offenses, discord, forget anguishes and darkness, so that the root of bitterness cannot find a favorable climate in the field in which we act. We all need happiness and peace. However, happiness and peace call for love and for renewal, as progress in life call for harmonious work and the blessing of the sun. As Virginia is pointing out, right, we need more love, more happiness, and it's a conquest of the heart. Now I'm gonna kindly ask Virginia to help me by going to that chair. Okay, mommy is asking you to go there and wait here while I. Okay, you're next to mommy. Go. Thank you. Here, here, here. Okay. Thank you, Virginia, for helping. And let's go now. I know it was a. Thank you for your patience, for your loving kindness. I know it's something unexpected, right? But that's life. So for now, we're going to go to Paul talking to the Hebrews. We cannot forget that when Paul talked to the Hebrews, he was talking about the grace of God. Hmm? And he says we cannot fall short in regards to the grace of God. What does he mean? God is abundant. And that's what we're experiencing today. The abundance of God, right? Abundance. And what do? We become bitter. And it happens. There are days that are harder than the others, right? But what do? He says it. Renewal. Peace and happiness call for love and renewal. There are people who have a lot of love in their hearts, but they don't know how to renew themselves. What happens? They become bitter. In our brains, let's talk about the physical part, which is a rough image of the spiritual body. Our brain has the capacity to renew itself. So we have an inner mechanism to renew. What commands the renewal? Our will. What commands our renewal? Our will. So what do? We need to coach ourselves. But do you expect somebody else to renew yourself? It's not going to work. To renew ourselves, we need to be willing to do it, I cannot expect others. That's the lesson of the Master. God's grace, the grace of God. What is the grace of God? God's gentleness, God's kindness, and I'm not saying human ways. It's in divine ways, which are superlative. Everything that comes from God is abundant. When you think of kindness, it's abundant. It's abundant kindness. When we think of gentleness, it's abundant gentleness. When we think of compassion, it's abundant compassion. So there is this abundance in God's grace. We cannot deceive the physical senses. There's one thing we need to talk about, which is how much the physical senses may block us from experiencing the expansion of our spiritual senses. In the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, we learn that the more, okay, I will repeat the question. When it's talking about selfishness, okay, and it's in the third part of the Spirit's book when it talks about the moral laws, and there is a subtitle, selfishness. Kardec asks, what is the worst vice of all vices? And I am rephrasing it. And they say, selfishness and pride. And then he asks, how can we get rid of it, uproot it? And they say, well, it's kind of hard, but the more you study and focus and investigate about the spiritual life, which is the real life, the less selfish and proud you will be. Because everything shall pass. And what remains? The grace of God. Is it in us? So I'm going to ask you an assessment question. How much do you feel this abundance of love of God in you? Because there are people who are living as if they are floating in the air because they feel this abundance of God in terms of love, in terms of care, in terms of everything, in spite of the material conditions, the socioeconomic status, the family status, the health status, like Jerônimo Mendonça in Brazil, the lame giant who used to be totally disabled but brought joy to the whole Brazil. He felt this abundance of God. So, but there are people on the other hand who materially may have everything and yet they feel miserable, as if they are dragging themselves. They feel as if they lack the abundance of God. How about you? Do you feel the abundance of God? Do you feel that God is provident, so provident, that you have everything that you need in terms of spiritual resources, emotional resources? Like Celia in the book 50 years later, she learned about the abundance of God. She lost everything, the whole family, even her possibility of being a woman, she had to dress up as a man to survive. She felt the abundance of God. Vanessa Godoy is kindly saying, yes, you feel it, right, my friend? Yes, what a joy, Vanessa. What a joy. Prosperity, you're saying. Exactly. So we feel it. So you may be asking, but how can I feel it if I'm not feeling it? I will recommend a book to you, Genesis. There is a chapter that, and I forgot the number of the chapter. If somebody recalls, please type it in here so we all have a reference. But there is a chapter in the book Genesis, a book that we're celebrating its 150th anniversary this year. In the book Genesis, Kardec mentions about God's providence, saying if, in an analogy, if a mother and a father are loving, caring to their children, right? Imagine God. He is the super parent. And Vanessa Godoy saying God is in everything and in everyone. And we agree. So why cultivate bitterness? Yesterday, in the previous chapter, we were talking about the need of domesticating our minds and our feelings. Getting out of aggressiveness. Getting out of these reactive instincts in our lives. Taking action in a non-violent manner, allowing our inner horses to become more tamed, domesticated, allowing it to be saddled up. So we become meek, as Jesus said, blessed are the meek. God is saying, I know you want this toy, but I think you better not have it. But I want it. That's not good, right, Virginia? Not good at all. It's good when I say, okay, all right, yes, mom, yes, dad, yes, God, and be happy. Like Stephen in the book Paul and Stephen, he teaches us how much his mom taught him from an early age to be meek, and it helped him, and it helped all of us. Thanks to his tameness, to his meekness, we've come to know of Christianity because it was through Stephen that Paul of Tarsus came along. Thanks to his mother, Stephen's mother, who taught him to be meek, peacemaker, and not to dwell with the people at the time. And that's exactly what Emmanuel is saying. It is reasonable that we always be careful not to extend evil to the path of others. So we are talking about our mental emissions, emotional emissions, vibrational emissions. It's not only words and actions. He said, the others reap fruits of our actions and offer us back the consequent reactions. So somebody needs to be more peaceful so the world gets in the mood of more peace. So he talks about instincts and reactions in this message, which are very much correlated to the animal phase, the kingdom we've come from before being humans. It was valid in the animal kingdom, but in the human kingdom, what is the main acquisition for us? Discernment. And that's what he's saying. We need to be careful not to extend our ignorance, because evil is ignorance, is the lack of the good. So the more we expand ourselves in terms of the good, the less evil we're gonna bring about. And he says, in many circumstances, we do not immunize ourselves against the toxic agents of complaint. Question: how big of a complainer am I today? Scale 0 to 10. 0 being I'm not a complainer at all. 10, I'm a big complainer. So where do you think you are? You don't need to tell us, but let us make an inner assessment. Today, September 12th, 2018. Where are we in that scale? Do I complain a lot or not at all? Where am I? 0 to 10. Oh my gosh, am I surprised? Do I complain a lot? What do I do? It's toxic. Maybe that's why I am ingesting my own toxins of complaint in my gastrointestinal system, creating a lot of illnesses for me. What can I do? But everybody complains. Why not me? Oh, because you don't want to be intoxicated. Everybody drinks, but you don't want to be intoxicated. And we're not talking about water. What about drugs? People use drugs. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Teenagers go to college. They may use it. I'm not going to do it. I love myself. I know better. So he says, usually complaint happens because we overestimate our problems. We think our problems are bigger than other people's problems. He says, we suppose our pain is greater, more complex, and we nourish selfishness. And that's where bitterness comes from. Ouch. And it poisons our lives. So what is our next exercise for the next 24 hours? Guess what? 0 complaint. Oh, Vanessa, that's too hard. Let's aim at 0, okay? No complaint. So what we're gonna do, when I think about complaining, I'm like, this is a blessing in disguise. So let's use this affirmation. When we're about to complain, we're like, uh-oh, blessing in disguise. We're about to complain, blessing in disguise. And let me seek the good. Blessing in disguise. It's as if there is a stop sign. Shh. Blessing in disguise. We're about to complain. Blessing in disguise. And we keep referring ourselves to that. Blessing in disguise. Blessing in disguise. But people, okay, it's a blessing in disguise. What is the good in this? And I retrain myself. I get myself out of that self-centeredness and I seek the good. I don't allow myself to be stuck in that little tiny view that is compressing the beauty of abundance of God. So he says, because the storm is coming to the country in the United States, and people are like, oh my gosh, but the storm is about deep cleaning. That's what the proposal of it all is. So let's cleanse ourselves to help the good spirits who are using this mechanism to cleanse the environment. So he says, let's be aware of such calamities that are set in our day-to-day tasks. And he says, how? Forget offenses. Huh? Teresa Castro is asking, what might be the good intention behind it? You mean behind the hurricane? Is that what you mean, Teresa? Behind the hurricane? Or is that the question that you think we should be asking? Because if it is, that's a wonderful question to ask. Let me know, okay? So I can comment on it. Yeah, Vanessa Godoy is saying, yes, problems are opportunities for the good to happen to transform our lives. Yes. No. So if it's about the storm, a question to ask exactly. What might be the good intention behind it? Exactly. Let me go back to, since this is a chapter that Emmanuel wrote, inspired in the epistle from Paul to the Hebrews. Let's go back to the book Paul and Stephen. If Stephen, okay, Stephen's father died because he invested on complaining. If you read the first 3 chapters, you're going to see that Joshadab, the father of Jeziel, later Stephen, and Abigail, he was not happy with the way they were treated by the Romans, which was not just. And he knocked on the door of the quaestor to complain. He lost his life. Before he did so, Jeziel, his son, later Stephen, said that in the scriptures it says we should be thankful for everything that God is giving to us. Let us not complain. He didn't listen. He lost his life because they killed him. Abigail was left to herself, and Jeziel was enslaved. Did Jeziel, later Stephen, kick and scream? No. He said, God, if you put me in this ship as a slave, I believe you're doing this for the best. Allow me to seek the good and calm myself. It's hard, but we need to learn how to do it. Because if we keep kicking and screaming, complaining, we're not going to allow ourselves to learn what is the offer, which is a blessing in disguise in that situation. So Emmanuel says to complain is to intoxicate, to bring toxins to ourselves. So he says, forget offenses, forget discord, forget anguish and darkness. So that the root of bitterness cannot find a favorable climate in the field in which we act. And he finalizes almost like in a song. All we need is love. Well, who wrote it first? Emmanuel. I'm joking. Because he says, we all need happiness and peace. But happiness and peace comes with love and renewal. And progress in life comes with harmony, work, the blessing of work and the blessing of the sun. You need happiness. I need happiness. That nourishes us. We need peace, tranquility. But we can only find it in love, which is an action, and renewal, which is a process. What an invitation, huh? finding the abundance of love, the love of God, by blessing the hardships, blessing the difficulties. And Emmanuel is asking us, you want to cut the root of bitterness? Forget darkness, discord, offenses. Begin anew, renewal. We cannot transform our relationships with ourselves if I don't see myself differently. If I keep looking at myself at that moment when I made a mistake, I need to go to my mirror and say, mirror, mirror, where's the divine in me? And the mirror's gonna say, right there, look at yourself in the eyes. And then when I look at others, I can do the same. Renewing ourselves, our relationships with ourselves and the world. Right, Raza? Yeah. What actions can be considered actions of love? What's the action of love? It's when you find the way to relieve the pains of others. When we find a way to make people happy, as Emmanuel said in the previous chapter, to serve. In that love in action, we're spreading love. To love is to care. To love is to care. Right? Do you feel it, friends? Yes? Rudy is asking us. Same question. Beautiful. Actions of love. Actions of care. When I see the needs of others and I put myself in action to cover that base, to be of help, to be of service. And it begins with our physical bodies. It begins with people in our lives. Because sometimes the body's saying rest and we're enslaving it. Eat and we're like, nah, now. Don't eat that much and we eat a lot. So we love the body by saying, I'm gonna give you the loving care that you need. The loving care that you need. It begins with the body and then it begins with people in our lives. Exactly. More love, more love, more love, says Rudy. It's contagious. I agree. It's the grace of God. So, friends, as we rejoice in this grace of God, let us prepare ourselves for tomorrow, because tomorrow we, God willing, will be studying chapter 43, which is all about, let me see here, in a reciprocal evaluation. Again, Paul to the Hebrews, let us consider also one another so we can stimulate one another to love and the good works. Isn't that what we're doing here? Emmanuel is going to give us more. So the more we come with Emmanuel, the more empowered we are. So friends, we thank you for being here this hour. If you're going to sleep, may this night be very productive in actions of loving kindness in your life with the good spirits. And if you're going to continue your day, may it be a day filled of blessings. And let's not forget the exercise. If we're going to complain, we say blessing in disguise. Blessing in disguise. And then we seek the good in it. We seek the good things behind it. Shall we, friends? A big hug to everybody, right, Virginia? We're gonna sleep now, right? Thank you. Bye bye, friends. Thank you to your loving kindness, Sylvan, and all of you, friends. And until tomorrow, God willing.